We can kick over to news. There's been a lot. I made the joke before we started recording, but like, and again, this isn't planned, but like 2 episodes ago, I feel like we were really on Nintendo, was the Switch 2 stuff. Last time we recorded was all about Microsoft raising the prices and everything, and now this time we record, we have a bunch of Sony bullshit. So, it's just each one of these companies, man, in the last 6 weeks have done something really dumb.
They keep seeing everybody else fuck up, and they're like, "Well,
I can do better.
I guess we can do. I guess we can just do whatever we want now, and it doesn't matter."
Exactly. We'll kick off with Sony. We've known for a while this live service push has been a bad idea. I don't think anybody thought it was good, and they really pushed into it because Helldivers was a success.
Mm-hmm.
And once that hit, they were full steam ahead on these. Obviously, we saw what happened with Concord. Once that failed, then the questions became, well, what about some of these other games? You know, there's Fairgames, which is now in a lot of trouble because the person that was the head of that left. And I should point out, the head of that studio founded that studio.
Yeah, I was to say,
sold it to Sony, and then they got rid of her. So if I was Sony at this point, I would probably come out now and push that game until next year, and then later this year just say it's over. I don't think I would put it out. On the flip side of that, today, and this is probably the hottest and most recent news here, is this whole scandal with Marathon. I don't know if any of you've seen the because it's one of those, it just keeps getting worse as the day went on. Like, first it was just, well, it's one piece of artwork. So what it is at the point that we're recording now, they've found, I believe, it's either 4 or 6 pieces of artwork from a specific Instagram artist that they plagiarized and just built the entire art style of this game around. So when I say that, I'm talking the character design, the world design, the level design, like everything in this game is going off of this art. And if you go and look at it, like, it's very clear they took it.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's like, well, I mean, if that is the case, then are you really going to delay this thing, change the art style completely? No, you're probably going to cancel it, is what I think will happen.
You would think.
That now it is like I have not followed this story close enough.
Okay.
But I know these type of things happen in the past. Is this generally considered that people think that it was lifted, or was it a situation like, because like I've heard in the past that like developers will put placeholder stuff in while they're working on things, and then certain things get forgotten that they were in there, and that's the thing.
The thing that I saw that kind of really, I think, was the final nail was in one of the pieces of artwork, the artist that had done, I can't remember if it was a guy, I don't remember, but
it's a woman.
It's a woman. Okay.
Yeah.
The woman that did the artwork.
N squared is the name on
They
Twitter.
put like a very specific like little reference to something in the artwork, like a little design or something that they were able to pull from footage of that game.
It's like a signature thing that she puts in her artwork.
And it's like, it is not possible. Yeah, like, it's not possible that they didn't steal that.
It's not like they were like they saw her stuff and they were inspired and they're like, oh, we can kind of recreate this on our own way. No, we're just gonna fucking take it, put it in here. And I get where Ryan's coming from. Like, is this a placeholder? Like using it as an asset? But it made it into all these trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it's irrefutable that this is someone else's work, that they like. All it takes is for them to reach out to this person and be like, hey, we really like your stuff.
This stuff
it fits
dope. Can we have
it fits the concept of what we're doing. Can we work out some way where we let us use it? Can we license it? This person, like, they even admit they don't really make money off of this. It's just something they kind of do and work on.
Yeah.
They probably would have been thrilled to have it in the game and put their name in the credit. That might have been enough.
Yeah, that could have been it.
But no, man, they just fucking took it.
And the thing is, now, even if they were to do that and do the right thing, it's too late.
It's too late.
It is out there. People
this
are
is
pissed.
Stuff and it's not like this is stuff that like popped up on the internet a month ago and they saw it and took it. This stuff's 8 years old.
8, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like so 2017.
They've been using it for a while.
Yeah. It
and the fact that they came out and like, you know, didn't admit that they did it, but they're like, we're investigating it. Means like,
that was what they had to say this morning, because when they got to like the fourth piece of artwork that was like, no, this is stolen, they had to make a comment. Again, like, so, and the other thing I point out when I talk about like Sony's push for live service games, these are all paid live service games. These aren't free to play games.
right.
These are all, you're going to go spend $40-$50 for this live service game. And that's why at this point, if I were Sony, I'd be pulling the plug on the whole live service thing. Between this, Fairgames, Concord last year, like this whole push this generation to shift from single, like what they're known for as their studios, and go for a live service, like it's failed. It's over.
Yeah.
So
Nobody wants it.
nobody wants,
That's
like,
the thing. The live service games that are successful have their audiences that aren't going to play something new. They're not. You're not taking anybody from Fortnite or whatever. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
So you're not going to build. There's no gamers left. And I'm generalizing, but there's no gamers left that want this type of game that don't already have the game that they're deeply into at this point.
And if you go and I would guarantee if you go and ask the average kid that plays Fortnite or whatever the free to play hot game of the week is, the first thing that they're going to be confused about is when you tell them it's a paid live service game and not a free to play game.
No.
So, because that's a lot of that part of like the space, they're conditioned to just know it's a free to play game that they can buy skins for. So the whole push it's been bad.
The problem is every so often one of these things hits, and
Helldivers was it.
Helldivers hits, so they're banking on other things hitting, because maybe they only need 1 out of every 5 to hit. If they were smart and actually just said fuck it, and they put all this stuff into just like getting Destiny 3 out the door, Destiny 3 will sell.
Yeah.
It will sell immediately, because it's got to take everybody who is currently playing, and it would be enough for someone like me to want to try it again, because as we talked about before, at this point Destiny 2 is so far gone.
Yeah.
I don't think I can get into it again.
No, I'd rather than just make a 3.
Because that game's been out for what, almost a decade, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, it's 2017.
It's the 10-year plan was Destiny 1 and 2.
They did it.
They did it. But I would like to play a Destiny game again, because they play incredibly well. But I feel like I'm so far behind the existence of Destiny 2 that there's no possible way to crack into it.
And you can't catch up,
by the way.
2017.
Yeah.
You can't catch up even if you wanted to, because they've probably deleted story stuff that you can't even play if you wanted to.
They've changed all of the systems, and everything you owned isn't good, but we had to morph it into something else. And then we took away the currency that you used to upgrade it, but we introduced another premium currency you can buy. But you have to go talk to this other guy who actually doesn't exist anymore, because in the story of the last expansion, we killed him off. So we had to replace him with this other. It's like, that's how this stuff goes. That's what the problem with live service games are, is like they're free to change the very existence of the game as it goes on.
Yeah.
And just blame it on, well, it's just we're expanding the universe. But if I played it 2 years ago, it's not the same game anymore.
So I sent that to you earlier, but I have the list of 18 live service games.
18
of 18, 3 have released. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 of them that are. We have 2 that are. We have 1 that has a date, which is Marathon. That's September.
I think
Fairgames was pushed to spring next year, and then we have a couple other ones that are to be announced. The rest of them have been canceled. And when I say those, I'm talking about things like The Last of Us Online, whatever the Twisted Metal thing was. Remember, there was going to be a God of War one that got shut down. There was the Ben Studio one that got shut down.
Was there a Horizon one?
So the Horizon MMO is still to be determined.
That's canceled.
I think they're all. The other one I laughed at that says to be determined on here is the Media Molecule live service game. That's been canceled.
That company doesn't exist.
There was a Spider-Man one.
Canceled.
I
remember that one. There was footage of that one.
The Great Web.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Making video games is, I'm sure, way more difficult than my tiny unqualified brain could possibly ever wrap around. But there are just some nobody wants a God of War like nobody they want the big single play. Like there's certain like franchises that clearly that's what people want from that's it. They want that next big epic story. Nobody wants to dick around with this other stuff where you become your own god. Like nobody cares.
I don't want to be my own Kratos.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is like I think in some of those universes it fits, and some it doesn't. Like God of War, it does not fit at all. Last of Us, I feel like it could have fit because the one thing we always talked about Last of Us, I think you and I even discussed this long before this, and even before 2 came out. The thing about Last of Us that's intriguing is there are thousands of other stories you could tell in this universe.
In that universe, yeah.
Exactly.
And maybe they cross paths with Ellie for like a minute or like, like a segment in the game. But it's
an Easter egg type of thing.
Yeah, they're so determined. They're so determined to tell this story of these 2 games, which is fine. But the universe exists, and there's so much other stuff they can do with it that I feel like a multiplayer thing could have worked. Obviously, what they were making was a dumpster fire. If the Destiny guys have to tell you it's bad, then it's probably bad.
Probably pretty bad, yeah.
So, but Horizon, maybe that works. But half the reason that Horizon is fun is because you play as Aloy. And the whole thing is it's her story, and she's the only one capable of doing the stuff in this universe. And it's spelled out amongst all of the other NPCs who can't do a fucking thing.
Well, an example I'd give, too, of like where you can get away from that, even though it's not a multiplayer game per se, but like look at Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs 1 and 2 specifically, are great games because you play as a character and you care about the story. Watch Dogs Legion, you just play as whoever, and it just I did not click for me because there is a story, but like I don't really connect with it because I'm playing as a random dude on the street.
It got boring. It really got boring at a certain point. Yeah. So this whole life, like the marathon. Go back to the marathon thing. Like that game's gonna come out. They basically admitted that I love how in their admission that they did steal this art is that they blame that person doesn't work here anymore. Of course they don't. Of course, right? Because you're not going to say that it's someone who's currently on staff. Oh no, John, he doesn't work here anymore.
It was the one rogue employee.
Yeah, who thought, what if I steal this art and upload it, and somehow no one else notices that I did this, and see if we can get away with it.
Yeah,
like come on, it's someone did it, they got busted. And now they're going to fix it. They'll probably just end up licensing it from this person.
That's my guess is what they'll do.
It's the easiest solution for everyone involved.
It is.
Is it just license the artwork and move on? But does that mean Marathon's going to hit? No. I doubt it.
I don't see it. Like I can see it maybe having a little more of an impact than say Concord just because it has the Bungie name behind it. But
sure.
Even from what I saw of people that played the alpha test or whatever the test they just had, like there was no fanfare around that game at all. No. Nobody was talking positively about it. It's whatever.
That's exactly what happened with Concord.
Mm-hmm.
Every beta testing was, the game plays fine.
Yeah. That
was it. And we always talked about it. It's like the Concord had the problem of it had to go against Marvel Rivals. It didn't matter how good of a game Marvel Rivals was. Because it had Marvel in the title.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, it's just a better version of Overwatch by all accounts. But, even that game, the support is almost like dying off because from the studio because we were moving on.
Mm-hmm. The whole live service thing, like, I just wish they'd get rid of they just exit that and go back. But, like, even, I think I mentioned, I said something to you about it earlier today, but, like, the whole generation for PlayStation, like for me, it's just been a wash first party. Because even if you look at the stuff that's come out, like the sequels that we've had, they've been good, but they haven't been as good as what's been previously put out. Like even Spider-Man. Spider-Man was good. I enjoyed it. Wasn't as good as the first Spider-Man game. I'd say the same about Horizon and God of War. And like looking at Ghosts of Yotei, like I like Ghost of Tsushima a lot. I don't know how much I care about this new Ghost game, like at all. Like, and it seems like we've seen very little footage of it, but it comes out in October.
Well, and the other strange thing too is, so we made a Spider-Man sequel pretty quick. God of War, Horizon, all stuff, but like
those really fast.
But Resistance is dead. Killzone is dead. Like all of these old franchises, SOCOM. Where's SOCOM? Can you imagine if they made a SOCOM now?
Why is
Like-
that not one of the quote unquote live
SOCOM,
service?
SOCOM could easily be a live service game.
It could easily do. I don't think it would do as well as Helldivers did, but I
No,
think it could
but
be a
all.
success.
the nostalgia factor alone.
Yes.
Because SOCOM, I don't know if people remember, like, because I was working in
The early
Gamers, when all
PS2
the ones-
days.
SOCOM was a huge franchise.
Yeah.
And up
Yeah.
until 4, when the PSN outage murdered it, because no one could play it for a month and a half.
Yeah. That
But
killed that
SOCOM
franchise.
was huge.
Yes,
It was the first game on PS2 to come with a headset in the box because they knew you were going to need it.
Yeah.
But like, can you imagine if they were like, new SOCOM game? It's
crazy.
it's live service, but it's $40, and I think you could get away with that. Fuck,
think you
even Killzone could be a live service game at that point. If you're not going to use it for what
Anything
it's meant
else.
to be, you
Yeah.
have all of these IPs that are just dead.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it's
somebody
so
mentioned the other
weird.
day Warhawk
Warhawk was a huge one on
was
PS3.
another one. Yeah. Where I was like, yeah, they haven't done anything with that in a
No.
long time. So
Yeah. Do you guys think that like Sony is fucking up because they're fucking up? Or is this kind of like WWE post WCW before AEW, where they're like, we're so big that it doesn't matter.
yes.
Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Buy an
100%.
Xbox? What are you gonna,
I
like?
would argue that's the
I
problem.
think it's
because
even. I think now it's even that they're more checked out because their biggest competition has turned into their biggest publisher. So
Yeah.
they have no.
their biggest competition
Nintendo's
just
not really a
loaded a
competition.
shotgun and put it in their mouth.
Yeah, it's just it's insane.
Like the thing is like it's because it's following the pattern of the PS2 was number one by far. And the Xbox was brand new. The GameCube was such a radically different thing from the Nintendo from before. So PS2 just had nowhere to go but up. But then they took all of that goodwill and made a $600 Blu-ray player with it for the next console, and they made it a year late. So then, but they thought we can do no wrong. People will buy it because they bought the PS2, and people didn't buy PS3s for a very long time.
At least the first
So then,
2-ish years. Yeah.
longer than that, man. It was so long before.
Yeah, I remember looking at
Slim.
it. I think their sales were very backloaded in their generation.
Yes,
for
it was.
sure.
It probably took almost, I would say, 4 to 5 years before the PS3
it would
caught
be
up.
around like you started getting the bigger games like a Heavy Rain or an Uncharted 2, and those kind of like bigger first party
Microsoft
games.
had just built such a huge lead because they came out early. The console was very good. It had an established online system that, yes, you had to pay for it, but it worked.
And a ton of bangers right off the bat, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tons of stuff out of the gate that just was worth playing in like Oblivion. Like they had huge
You had Oblivion,
stuff on
you
console.
had Dead Rising, you had
Wasn't,
Gears 1.
Wasn't was it BioShock that originally was?
BioShock was
BioShock
2007. So
Mhm.
like
And Mass Effect, I think, was originally
Mass Effect was
exclusive.
fall
Yeah,
2007.
right.
That's the
Those
thing is
were
they
both
had
exclusive.
all of these things were banger exclusive out of the gate, and like it just took so long for places to catch up. But then they learned their lesson again and realized with PS4 we have to change this shit. And hey, it worked again because Microsoft again shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Microsoft gave them a huge assist.
Yeah, Microsoft was like, "Why don't you just take over for now?" But then
GTA
they-
4
Wear
had
tie.
the marketing with Xbox because remember what's his name came out with it tattooed on his arm.
Yeah, Peter Moore.
That was a huge
That was a
thing.
huge
That's-
get.
I think that's the only one that had the marketing with a different platform.
Yeah, because remember it took
I
forever.
was very much PlayStation.
It took forever
so-
for three and everything to even show up on Xbox.
yeah, and they did that trilogy.
It took years. I remember because we used to get questions at Game Crazy all the time. Do you think Grand Theft Auto will ever end up on Xbox? And I would always tell people like, yeah, probably, but it's going to be at a point where you don't really even want it anymore.
Where you're done playing it.
Yeah, you've moved on. So and then that's exactly what happened. And so yeah, so Sony now they're riding the PS4 success. They're riding the PS5 success because it really was the best option of the two.
It
And
is.
Microsoft did nothing to change it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say like Sony is doing everything right. It's just Microsoft's doing nothing.
No, that like I said, they're now their biggest publisher. So like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then
And if Microsoft and the thing is Microsoft seems to be okay with that.
they don't
Yeah.
they don't care.
Yeah, and I don't blame Microsoft at this point.
No.
You know, I don't think that this was their plan.
No.
But I think it's actually a good pivot. Them raising the prices and of all that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I don't want to get mad about again right now. But I don't think the plan was to become a third party publisher or whatever. But like I get it.
But I
totally understand.
I think
it's smart.
Saw it. Yeah, I think they saw it when the Activision thing finally cleared, and they realized, well, we're still gonna put all this stuff on PlayStation because we'd be fools not to. And then, what if we slowly drip out this other stuff, then you see every month they're top of the pre-order charts for everything. Even Sea of Thieves was top of the fucking pre-order charts, and that game is like 6 years old.
Yeah. What is it like? They're top like 3 or 4 best-selling PlayStation games of like the last year. Are
Forza, Indiana
Microsoft.
Jones. Yeah, it's nuts. So like
Gears will do it. I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but
is that on the store yet or no?
I don't think so.
Oh.
It would probably be one of the first
by the end
things
of the
that would pop
year.
up.
That's going to be a
But yeah, it's just Microsoft, man. I think the first time when they were giving up was the everything's an Xbox campaign.
Yeah.
It was really trying to be like, you don't have to buy an Xbox to play our games. You can buy anything you want. And
you get a sweet page that says it was announced.
Yeah,
you can't reserve it yet.
Yeah, and just to hammer home how you don't need to buy an Xbox, we're gonna raise the price. just so you know for fact you don't.
We don't want to make any.
whatever,
We don't want to make any more of these, so we're just going to sell what we have left.
Our
at a
factory's
premium.
tired.
Yeah.
Hey, I own 2 of them, so now they're worth more.
That's a good
My
investment.
buddy has that Xbox One sealed. I said, now you can't ever open it.
Yeah,
Now it's worth $2,000.
Yeah, I think it's worth a lot of money. Yeah, my I regretted it for a while buying the S as well. Not a bad idea. Now to have it, I guess. Like that they're
At this point, if that thing can just play the Game Pass stuff easily, you're fine.
I will say my thought, if PlayStation really wants to kind of get things going again, where I mean, and they're not struggling by any means, but kind of get that like excitement going. Let's put a DVD player in the PlayStation 6. I think that's that's gonna bump those sales for sure.
PS6 backwards compatibility, but only with PS1 games.
Yeah,
only
with that.
Have a CD player in there.
Nice.
There you go.
My God.
In continuing with Sony, I put in really quick that they're talking about doing some sort of major update with that PSSR stuff with the PS5 Pro, which like my response to that is just simply cool. Please make my lackluster system better. Like that thing still, I have not played something where I'm like, man, this really justifies this.
Man, it's gonna be crazy when that thing's $1,000 in a couple months.
It's gonna be crazy,
well,
right?
You saw what they said, right?
They're thinking about
examining it.
They're examining it, yeah.
Which means they're going to.
Because Microsoft did it, they can't.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo came out and said the same kind of thing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if they used the word examining it, but
I don't think this is in the news anywhere. But did Ryan? Maybe you did. But did either of you read the IGN interview with Doug Bowser at the Nintendo San Francisco store opening? What a pile of PR bullshit! Like, it was terrible. Every time he'd ask him, like, what about the pricing, and like what everybody in the chats were saying, like the games are too high. Well, really, what we're talking about today is the San Francisco Nintendo.
Yeah,
it's like, fuck off, then, dude. Like,
he's not going to talk.
He's not going to answer those questions.
No, I don't know why they would keep trying.
I get why he wouldn't answer those.
I do too.
But don't do the interview then, because you're going to get asked the stuff.
Yes,
like he'd be an idiot if he's like, well, the price is like he'd be dumb. But don't put yourself in a position
or
before people are going to be like,
or
what the
before
hell?
the interview starts, you tell them, yes, I'm happy to do an interview about the store that we're opening right now. Any other questions? I'm just tell them ahead of time. Any other questions? I'm really not here to talk about today. Yeah. Today I'm here to talk about the store. But instead he does the interview, lets them ask these questions, gives a PR answer, and then lets him ask the question again.
Yeah. Follow-up question.
Yeah, follow-up question.
The
exact same question. Thoughts? And he's like, well, again, it's like, then don't do this. And then IGN tries to spin it as, it was a great interview. No, it wasn't. It's a piece of shit. It wasn't. It's just a PR. Like, if you're going to do this, just get a PR release and post it on your website and move on.
Thank God I got my pre-order in now. That's gonna be rough.
It's gonna be rough.
We're talking about a console generation, and then the one coming next, where systems have never gone down in price and only gone up, and it's gonna happen again.
It is crazy.
Again.
It is crazy to me.
When does it hit the point where, like, because eventually there'll be a breaking point? I don't think it's there yet. I mean, obviously the pre-orders for Switch 2 were crazy, like, but at a certain point, there is a dollar amount that is too much.
I think if they hit a dollar amount whenever like, let's say the next PlayStation, the next Xbox get announced, if they're too high, you're gonna see a point where people just do not pre-order it. And they go, "This is too much." You'll still have people that.
Well, here's the thing about the Switch 2. Obviously, pre-orders were going to sell out. There's never a question. There's enough people interested to buy the system immediately.
Mm-hmm.
However, there were also a lot of people who decided, like me, that $500 is not worth what I'm going to get out of the system, so I'm not going to buy it. That's not going to change. So going forward, where are the sales? What you're going to have to release in, like, games that I can't live without for me to justify paying $500 for a Nintendo system.
Yeah, it's got to be a new Zelda or a new 3D Mario would be the only. Like,
those are the only two big drivers of things.
Because they're going to have some other bangers, like Metroid Prime 4. I'm sure is going to be great, but Metroid Primes don't move console. Like,
it's also on Switch.
Like
it's also
that game's also on Switch 1.
So like you can't tell me that is a game that they expect to move someone who isn't willing to buy one now in a year.
And see, here's another question. Let's say, and obviously this hasn't been announced yet, but let's say the next big thing, and it could even be for this fall because we don't even know what the fall layout is other than Metroid. Mm-hmm. Let's say they announce Odyssey 2, but it also is on Switch 1.
They'd be fools to do that.
You think they'd be foolish?
Well, here's the thing.
There are a lot of Switch 1s out there, though.
They would and they wouldn't, because yes, it would immediately sell. Mm-hmm. Like you would have an install base of 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
But that I don't have to buy Switch 2.
But that brings to the point, is like, do they actually care about getting people to move forward? Or
I do. I mean, it's the Wild West now, so who knows what change. But I do feel if there's one company that will say "fuck it" to the last, like, Nintendo would do that. They would do that weird thing and be like, "No, you have to buy this thing." Sorry, 150 million people. You have to buy this thing. Like, Nintendo's the one company I think that would try that.
There weren't many Wii and Wii U games.
No,
it was we made this for Wii U. You got to buy the Wii U, and there weren't many Switch and Wii U games. That's for a different reason, because it wouldn't play in there. But they're not going to care about selling regular Switches anymore, because people who don't know what they're doing are going to buy those.
Yeah.
But they want you to buy the new one, especially if they are continuing to supposedly make them as fast as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Then they want you to move on. They want $500. They want you installed on the new thing. They want you to pay $80 for Odyssey 2. Can they get $80 out of regular Switch people? Maybe not.
No. I don't know. They got 70 out of regular Switch people for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, but that was the first example of Nintendo is now pricing based off of what they appear to be quality, as opposed to a standardized pricing for first-party games.
Yeah,
we are firmly in the era of Nintendo is going to tell you what the game is worth, and that's what it's worth. And you can go fuck yourself if you don't want it.
Exactly.
But they proved it with Switch, because at most games go down $20 at most, and it's for a week, and then it goes back up. I can't buy the first copy of Hyrule Warriors for less than $60 in 2025. I don't think
it showed up on Woot when we've been looking. So
no,
I think when I finally bought mine, and this was a couple years ago, I think I got excited because it was like 53.
Yeah,
there you go.
I've been looking everywhere.
I was pumped that I found
I'm begging for that game to be less than $60.
Those are two that I still need. Yeah, it's just.
I told Kyle, it's like, I really want to play Hyrule Warriors for some stupid reason.
No, I'm there with you.
But I cannot buy it many years after.
Yeah.
And Nintendo just says Nintendo does this thing, especially about older generation stuff, where they I don't know if they necessarily forget about it, but they like to pretend it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to find a copy of a first party game that we made 6 years ago, you can go suck it from the back, buddy. Like, we don't care.
They don't care.
They just don't. And like, they don't even put these things on sale on a digital storefront where it costs nobody to produce.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite quotes from the Iwata book, by the way.
Suck it from the back.
Suck it from the back.
That was the foreword, I think. But yeah. I think if you type that in ASCII, it unlocks golf on the Switch or something.
There you go.
But yeah, it's one of those things where
they don't.
in the past they
do.
used to. In the GameCube era, you had player's choice. Remember Platinum Hits? Greatest
Did they
hits,
even do that on the
choice.
Switch?
No.
Okay.
And the player's choice was always really kind of fucked because the Platinum Hits on Xbox and Greatest Hits on PS2 were always 20. Player's choice on Nintendo were 30. You're going to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then if it was Smash Brothers, I'm pretty sure that was 40 too. Because again, fuck you, we don't care. But yeah, it just. We got off topic because of the fucking Nintendo thing, but
no, I mean, that's exactly the state of the whole thing. It does because the whole industry
where
is
we're
fucked.
going.